in these 80 years, there is no doubt that the UN has played a central role in maintaining peace, in advancing development, in promoting human rights. And when you see the UN deployed in the field, you see humanitarian relief, you see health, immunization to children. I think that we have to recognize that the UN has been the pivot of international law and conflict response. And I think that the beauty of the UN is that its universal membership and legitimacy remain absolutely vital in today's divided and polarized world. So I think that in going forward, basically the task ahead is to revitalize trust in multilateralism in general by ensuring that institutions, including the United Nations, are more responsive, more effective, more inclusive, more fit for purpose to really address the issues of today's world. And I think that perhaps the key, the secret, is to connect the links between global frameworks and local impact, especially in cities, will be absolutely key for the way forward of the United Nations.
Now, China has played an increasingly active role in the United Nations over the past decades in the UN system. How do you view China's contribution to what the UN does, especially in areas like peacekeeping, development, global governance?
Well, I think that it is the responsibility of all member states to contribute to the health of the multilateral system. So I would say that constructive engagement is absolutely essential. And that's what we have seen from China. So I think that we have witnessed China's growing role that reflects bigger and broader shifts in global governance, with emerging economies playing more visible roles. And I think its shift towards perhaps more locally rooted, people-centered development efforts is very encouraging to see. With regards to China, we have seen China also step up in terms of contributions, financial contributions to the UN, both to the core budget, but also to the peacekeeping operations, being now the second funder and contributor, and also connecting the dots between the local and the global. I'm thinking about initiatives, for example, the new small and beautiful approach, and that, of course, reflects the value of investing in sustainable community-level solutions. This is a space, for example, where the Cities Alliance has been working for the past 20 years. The Cities Alliance being the organization that I have the honor to preside over. So I think that what matters is how these contributions uphold UN principles, strengthen global cooperation, honor the UN Charter, but also the responsibility to constructively address the urgent need to reform, to transform, to modernize the organization.
Just on that question of reform, and you talked a moment ago about revitalization of the United Nations and its core function, which is to work in a multilateral environment. I mean, this is something that has concerned you for some time. 7 years ago, you became only the fourth woman to become president of the United Nations General Assembly. We talked to you at the time. You gave an interview at the time in which you said, we are really living in a very troubled environment, and I think it is very important that we really work towards strengthening of the multilateral system. And even then, you mentioned the word revitalization. What needs to be done right now?
Well, I think that, as I said a few years ago, I can repeat the same today, which is that multilateralism is under strain. But nevertheless, it remains the most legitimate framework for global cooperation. But of course, the complexity of today's crises from conflicts to climate, mostly happening in cities, by the way, demands collective solutions, collective action. And basically, what I meant then, and I repeat today, is that the UN must evolve to be more people-centered, to be relevant, to address the issues on the ground, especially in the response to urban challenges, for example, but to many other challenges, such as the climate emergency, the issues of the use of artificial intelligence, the massive human displacement due to conflict or climate, for example. So the crises, multiple crises that we are experiencing really require countries, governments coming together to find solutions, to cooperate more, to connect more, to coordinate better the responses. And this universal platform to do that remains the United Nations.